Hello and welcome to this edition of the New Indian Express Online. I'm Bansi Kadapa. With me is Mr. Venkatesh Nayak, who is head of Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative. We also have Ms. Shilpa, who is a relative of a person who was deceased. Now, the issue we're talking about is an activist, an RTI activist was eliminated, very brutally eliminated. This man was hit with a huge boulder on his head and he was murdered. And the issue was he was seeking to expose certain irregularities, certain scams from within the Manrega. Now, as the Chief Minister said, about 127 crore worth is still to be recovered out of 133 crore of irregularities. So, in this murder of Mr. Murthy, how do you see this in the larger context?
Unfortunately, this has become a countrywide trend. The Manrega, or the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, was brought in to ensure livelihood for people living in rural areas for at least 100 days of wage labor. But what we are seeing increasingly is case after case after case of corruption, irregularities and diversion of funds meant for implementation of this particular law. So when the Honorable Chief Minister says that they have information about irregularities to the tune of 133 crores in Karnataka, it is primarily on the basis of feedback given by people living in Karnataka in those areas where those developmental works ought to have taken place, but very often they take place only on paper. So this latest case of Murthy, a resident of Kurubarhalli Doddi in Kanakapura Taluk of Ramnagara district in Karnataka. This case is about a group of people who, being socially conscientious citizens, were trying to expose irregularities in the implementation of this very important law meant for the benefit of rural people. One of them, that is Murthy, paid the price of demanding transparency and accountability with his life.
Now, if you look at this, Murthy's mother and his other relatives are inconsolable. Now, we have with us Miss Shilpa Rani, who's not a very close relative, but nevertheless is related to Mr. Murthy. Now, you have been trying to help the family, and you're in touch with the family. So, what really happened? How did the murder take place?
Actually, I'm a far relative of Murthy, but I know the day one when he given RTI application is filed. From day one, he taken all assistance from me. Since I'm an advocate, I have keep giving all the advices and how to go with the legally proceed with this matter. So I have advising him. So the incident is happened when he have a land, actually agriculturist land. The ragi grown up crops were there. So this is accused number 2, 3 and 4. The Srinivas, Chandan, Chetan. Their land is behind the Murthy's land. There they have actually tractor was going in grown ragi crop. The tractor was going up. That and the small quarrel started with Murthy and accused people, 3 of them. The small quarrel started. Then they said some village people elders came. Okay, since ragi crop is grown up, so don't take a tractor on that. So you take whatever your things is there from there. The other space he made it, and that was compromised. Then he came back to home. Later evening, when he returned from along with sheep, he have a sheep. So after the feeding the sheep, he returned to home. Then the 7-8 people attacked him. That is the quarrel morning. Whatever it happened, it's just. That is not actually, I can't say it won't go to up to the level of murder. If they murder also, they'll not get the land. Since he have a legal heirs, that land will goes to some other people, not to them also. Not because of the small incident they murdered it. Behind the incident was something else. That is
Murthy was trying to
happened.
get some RTI against Manrega.
For murder, behind reason is not the morning quarrel. The people are saying now police people are trying to manipulate that only because of the land dispute morning, so it happened in the murder. No, it won't go to the village people, will not go for this level, only for the some quarrel. It was really happened in the July month. He filed some RTI application regarding this Narega. The release the money for check dam is done. The many check dams are not done. Only few check dams are done. That is also is
Shoddy work.
not the proper work. For that he filed the RTI application. Then the inspection was done. When the spot inspection, the officers are came. That time there is a incident is happened. They beaten Murthy and Ramakrishna and other person. The FIR number 213 crime number has been done in the July 20th 7 2022. FIR has been done.
So when he filed this RTI seeking details, because all those check dams were only on paper, so they were not in existence.
Yes.
Then they thrashed up Murthy and the others.
Yes.
Now, as a follow-up, on December 6th, before his murder, some details of Manrega came out.
Yes, came
And
out that.
on 6th of December, and he gets eliminated on 22nd.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if I were to go a little more detail into the situation, what happened was this. Complaints about 11 developmental works taken up according to the Gram Panchayat's records, money released and disbursements made were all proper in terms of financial probity. But when Murthy, Ramakrishna, the RTI applicant, and other socially sensitive citizens who live in the Gram Panchayat jurisdiction, when they went to the spot where the developmental works are supposed to have been implemented, they found very little evidence. So they filed a complaint. The complaint went to the district ombudsman, who's required to
Manrega ombudsman.
MGNREG ombudsman, who's required to examine these complaints and then conduct on-the-spot inquiries about those complaints. So sometime in September, after the inspection was conducted, one of the allegations contained in the complaint filed by Murthy and Ramakrishna and others was confirmed that a certain developmental work was not in accordance with the rules and regulations of MGNREGA, and money had been released in complete violation of existing provisions, and therefore action was to have been taken. But with regard to 9 other works, the ombudsman found that everything was in proper order. But the question that Murthy, who's unfortunately been murdered, and other people have been asking is, on that date of July, which Advocate Shilpa mentioned, when the on-the-spot inspection took place, all those works were not completely inspected by the inspection team. So when the report came out saying that one work was of course irregular, the others were all regular, the complainants questioned that decision. And in December, the one that you are referring to, they have been told that, look, you cannot question again with the same ombudsman's office. You will have to go and file an appeal with the appellate authority over the ombudsman.
All right.
And within about less than 2 weeks of that particular reply coming to Murthy and company, this murder.
He gets eliminated. Now, there is certain inaction which you have spoken about. On previous occasions when Murthy tried to expose the scam, they filed a counter complaint against him and you helped him out.
Yeah. When the victims are filed the FIR, the given complaint, after taking the complaint, the next day the accused persons who alleged this incident, they went and given a counter complaint saying that he demanded for money, hence when we are not accepted, they given complaint. No, after this incident he given a complaint, after that is 20th July 2022 till today, 5 months over, they not even filed charge sheet against the accused persons who alleged this incident. They are accused in this murder, involved in this murder case also. But they filed counter complaint. After that complaint, what happened? The police started harassing Murthy. I'll file a charge sheet and bring Aadhaar card. Every day they are calling him and come to police station. Then he came to me. So this is what incident is happened. So every day the police is calling me, and that incident they took my mobile, they took my ring, everything they took it. Whatever video I have covered, everything they taken, but they're not returning back, and they're torturing me. What shall I do? And I have to go. He took a bail also. Then later I said, no, they are arresting you, they are not even filing charge sheet against them. They said, no, if I file a charge sheet against them, I will file charge sheet against you, you will go to jail. Then I took that case, then I have filed a 482 petition before High Court. Then that has been stayed.
So then they stopped harassing Murthy.
Then they stopped harassing Murthy.
Okay. Now, in fact, there is a specific whistleblower protection law which has been pending for the past many years. Can you tell us a little bit on that? Because had that law been in force, I think things would have been different here.
Absolutely, I'm glad that you asked that question. Because Murthy is not just an RTI activist and anti-corruption crusader, he is also a whistleblower. Within the meaning of that term as defined in the Whistleblower Protection Act. Anybody who makes a complaint to a competent authority listed in the Whistleblowers Protection Act becomes a whistleblower. And the complaint can be about corruption, it can be about violations of the law, it could be about human rights violations, anything. Unfortunately, despite that law being passed in February of 2014 by Parliament and then gazetted a couple of months later, it has still not been brought into force, which means rules have not been made. It's been more than 8 years. It was the last few months of the UPA regime when the law was passed. The NDA regime, which took over in May 2014, tried to bring in amendments to dilute the law. Sometime in 2015, the bill was tabled in Parliament. It never got discussed, it never got debated, it didn't get passed. It lapsed with the dissolution of that Lok Sabha. Ever since, there's been no talk about implementation of this law. Now, if that law had been brought into force, what would have happened? In Karnataka, the state government would have been under an obligation to appoint a competent authority to examine complaints of corruption which Murthy and company had been exposing. In the absence of that, and then what else does the law do? That law empowers the competent authority to provide protection to complainants against any retaliatory action against them or any reprisals that are launched against them, either by the government authorities or by private individuals acting in collusion with authorities like the police. In the absence of such a law, Murthy had zero protection. And that's what has happened today. He has lost his life.
He has lost his life. Also, one very important thing is, we have the assembly in session.
Yes.
For the past, today is the 7th day the assembly has met. It's so surprising that although this murder takes place just around Bengaluru, the issue has not figured in the assembly discussion until now, where such an important issue, an RTI activist is eliminated. And in fact, like you were saying, the number of RTI activists getting eliminated, I mean, it's so scary.
It's actually very worrisome. To just give your viewers a little bit of statistics to this forum, we collect information about media reports of instances of attacks on RTI activists. So till date, we have 104 cases of alleged murders of RTI activists. 11 are from Karnataka.
That's almost about 10%?
Exact, 10%. We have 184 reported cases of assault on RTI activists around the country. 17 of them are from Karnataka. That also amounts to about 10%. Unfortunately, till date, we have not had a single instance of conviction of the culprits responsible for the murder of RTI activists. There was one case of Lingaraju. The murder occurred sometime around 2011 or 12. I'm not very sure of the date right now. The trial court convicted him. Unfortunately, earlier this year, the High Court let off the convicts for want of evidence. Unfortunately, these matters do not get raised on the floor of either the Karnataka Vidhan Sabha or the Vidhan Parishad or in Parliament. So what exactly are our elected MLAs and MPs and MLCs doing? The government is on an anti-corruption drive. Opposition parties condemn corruption at the slightest hint of a scam appearing anywhere in the media. Nevertheless, today we have a situation where a 31-year-old young man has lost his life because he was a crusader against corruption at a place that is barely 2 hours journey away by road from Bangalore, the capital city of Karnataka.
So about 70 kilometers?
It's about 70 kilometers. Not one prominent leader of any political party has visited the place to provide solace, to speak a few words of kindness to the victim's family, nor have they made any public statements about the barbarity with which Murthy was murdered, nor the state of affairs which actually led to the murder of a citizen who was simply demanding the implementation of our country's national motto, which is Satyameva Jayate, the truth alone shall triumph.
Absolutely. Very, very tragic. Now, do you, see any chance for justice in this case? Because you have seen Murthy being victimized even before his murder. He was pulled up. So his murder was not really the first time he was attacked. And you yourself are witness to some of these things. Do you think he will get justice?
Now, after 2 FIR, there is inaction of police. Now he lost his life. These are out of 9 accused, only 3 are arrested. They are still staying in his same village.
In almost 1 week since the commissioning of the offence. Also, you said that the FIR was filed almost after 24 hours.
Yeah, next day, no one is come to give a complaint also. So after murder of next day, even 23rd is a murder in even 6 o'clock. Next day, 12 o'clock FIR has been done. There are 3 ladies, except the 3 ladies, they are uneducated, not educated. 3 ladies there at home. No single man. No one, even village people are. They are scary now after this incident.
They'll be even more apprehensive.
No one is coming forward. Since what Murthy is done, he is an innocent guy. What he done, he is not supported corrupted persons. He just raised his voice that using the public money. So he just raised his voice using public money. They are not even constructed any check dam or any road, whatever the village gram panchayat is getting the money. That's a complete scam. He raised his voice. So he lost his life. So all whatever Honiganhalli village panchayat is there, surrounded 10 village comes. Now no one village persons will come up for
to talk.
talk.
Absolutely. This will put a lot of fear in their hearts.
Next it will happen.
Who knows what will happen to them. Also, do you think such cases, this Murthy's case is the last of the RTI activists? Because when a journalist is eliminated, when an RTI activist is eliminated, it is actually a sign of the decay in the system. Now, do you see such cases? How do you really ensure that such cases don't take place?
You see, there are responsibilities laid down in laws, rules and regulations on many authorities to prevent such things from happening. First of all, let's take the very information that Murthy and his group of activists actually demanded using RTI. That information ought not to have even been formally requested for, because the Right to Information Act, Section 4 says very clearly, developmental works, budget disbursals, expenditure, all of that must be proactively accessible to people. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. In fact, when I was on a fact-finding visit in relation to Murthy's murder in his village, I was given a copy of a reply from the local Gram Panchayat office, where in response to one RTI application filed by this group, they have quoted 90,000 rupees as copying charges for providing access to documents relating to developmental works.
Which is unprecedented.
Unprecedented. Now, this is one way of discouraging. And then when the activists made it very clear that, look, we are not asking for the entire Gram Panchayat. We are only asking for specific developmental works in relation to the settlements where we are living. Then the next reply is that your question is very vague. We don't have any information to give you. Therefore, your matter is closed. Now, this is where the system which implements the Right to Information Act has to respond, starting from the public authority up to the State Information Commission level, where all of this kind of information should be made public suo motu. Proactively, voluntarily it should be disclosed so that people can have access to it without any difficulty. Then this particular incident is also commentary on the criminal justice system, the way in which the police responds to these cases of attacks, assaults. How could the police not file a charge sheet in relation to an FIR filed about an assault on the RTI activists that took place in front of the very team that had come to audit the implementation of Narega developmental works? It's a big question mark. Nobody has so far responded to. Nobody has asked this question. Nobody has even bothered to demand accountability of the local police for their inaction. In fact, Shilpa Rani is doing this right now, but I think more and more people in the state have to ask these questions. Why is it that people are losing their lives for demanding transparency, accountability, and proper spending of public money? Until and unless people get together, I do not think enough pressure can be built on the government at various levels to be a lot more accountable towards the people.
Okay, so what is very tragic is a complainant who speaks about corruption in the system gets arrested. Kempana, the Contractors Association president, was arrested based on the complaint of a minister. Here, an RTI activist gets eliminated, murdered, and the assembly doesn't raise it, the parliament doesn't raise it. Now, this is the tragedy of the system. How many more such deaths need to occur for the system to really wake up? Because here, as Mr. Venkatesh Nayak was explaining, there is a systemic cover up. There is a systemic response to this kind of an RTI activist information seeking. So, when will this end? These are questions before us. Thank you for joining us on this program. For more details on this, do keep watching the New Indian Express online.